Every formula.
Coming at you live from Venus. Uncle Dre and Auntie Chris bring you Gangster Goddess Broadcast.
Dre, come on, let's go.
I'm coming. Hold on, you have a phone call.
So
Did you
Put
need
down the Grammy.
here, did you need your gramophone? Did you need grandma? Here, you have a phone call.
Hello, someone's calling. Start the episode.
We won a Grammy for our podcast. Yep, that's
We'd
right.
like to thank all the little people out there for making our show. So, Dre, it's beautiful.
This thing is dirty.
Wait, hold on.
Dave, your husband needs to get a ShamWow going on this thing. The ShamWow.
We have such a good following.
We really do.
You
It's
guys have been so
amazing.
good to us.
I know.
Oh
Grammy.
my God. Okay, let's get to
Anyway, here we are. We're back. Part 2
B.
of the. Listen, Kushner. Welcome to
B.
Gangster Goddess Broadcast with Uncle Dre
and Auntie Chris.
You're like, why Uncle Dre and Auntie Chris?
I
Why?
don't
Because I
know.
have a filthy, filthy mouth and I'm known for
And
it.
I have to keep her in line. So there you go.
And she's Auntie Chris, you know.
I'm
she's
Auntie Chris.
Yeah.
I could be everybody's aunt.
I know, you remind me of my aunts, the way your laugh is.
Yeah.
That like I
An
hear
old
your
lady?
laugh
An old
around
cackle?
the table eating brajol and sausage. Here we are.
Let's
We're
do it.
back. Yes, we're still a Soprano rewatch, but we're not there yet, guys. We're exploring other things right now, like Mr. Michael Franzese.
But you know when
Did
we
I say it wrong?
Wait, hold on. You know when we will be there? We'll be there next week.
Yeah, next week.
So next week, make sure to tune in because we're doing season 2, episode 1 rewatch.
Yes.
Yeah,
We
with a little bit of extra flavor. It's not what you're, it's familiar, but it's not exactly the same. It's a little spicy.
I also didn't want to open with our Soprano rewatch, especially because in that episode, it's just a lot of setting up of the series for the season. So there's not too much stuff for us to get into.
Yeah.
I would have rather just gotten into this relate situation like Michael Franzese. He relates his life and the history of his mob world to help people.
Yeah.
He uses the story to help people now because he's a motivational speaker. And
Well, for people who didn't listen to our first episode of Gangster Goddess, this is
Go,
a special segment that we are going to do from time to time with special guests, whether they're friends, whether whoever, that has a really great tragedy to triumph story, or in a way where they pivoted and they were able to turn their life around or stood up for something that we've all, inspiring stories.
or gone through an illness.
Yeah, like
you.
I've gone through it. But we all have these stories, and this is where this idea was born from because of our stories.
How we walk through the fire.
Yeah.
And how, and we're always constantly learning and changing and evolving. We make a lot of mistakes along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And our guest, Michael Franzese, made a lot of mistakes along the way. He was, for people who haven't watched part A of the story, or part 1 of his interview,
Yeah.
he was one of the highest paid mob bosses. Mob
Captains.
He was a capo regime.
Yeah.
In the Mafia in the 80s, and he went away for 8 years, which is also, him going away for 8 years is almost as crazy as him making $8 million a week from a propane
gas
wholesale
scam.
propane tax scam from defrauding the government, which is, I mean, I'm not mad at that one. Got to be honest.
Well, he gets into it, and the first the other episode was so great with him. He was just amazing, so charismatic, just a great guy.
And then we made it 2 parts because we didn't expect to have him as long as we did. But he'd never interviewed with women before, only men. And men just want his Mafia story. And we just wanted to get underneath everything, like women do, because we're like detectives.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he was like, great, I got the FBI on my trail again.
We just got
the
more personal.
GGB.
Yeah, we get a little bit more personal. We like all those little tidbits.
Yeah, and he even told us that it would be fun because we're so interested in, we don't want to just talk to famous people. I know a lot of people just want interviews with famous people, and I understand that, and I think that's
great.
great.
Will have some.
We will, but we also
course.
really want to talk to just people. like friends of ours or friends of friends. We want to hear people's stories, real people's stories.
Yeah.
I mean, not that we're not real people, we're real people, but
I mean, it could be everything from someone going through a divorce to, any story
yeah. Anyway,
that needs to be cut.
no, it doesn't.
Any stories.
All we do is talk about what needs to be cut, and guess what? We're just going to leave those things in
No,
now.
I don't like that.
Yes,
No,
come on,
you
stop
have to
being-
let me.
Everything doesn't have to be
Jesus
perfect.
Christ, it doesn't have to
There's
be
an
perfect.
evolution
No.
to things.
I know, but there's
It's
some
great.
things.
People like the mistakes. They like the dirt.
Really?
They
How about
like
the
when we
lighting? Does the
fuck up.
lighting have to be perfect?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus.
Lighting
Everything
has
needs
to
be
be
real,
perfect.
except
We're 50.
the
I'm
lighting.
50.
I will hammer you.
The
right
lighting
now.
has
Okay,
to be perfect.
Anyway,
oh my God, I cursed. I'm not supposed to curse for 4 episodes straight.
Yeah, right.
I'm trying.
That won't happen.
I'm trying to grow here.
Anyway, I'm
Now
so
we have a
excited
raucous
about this
podcast,
series.
and I can't stop.
I'm
I
going
can't
right
stop
back to the
cursing.
series. I'm talking
Okay.
about the series. I'm
Please
excited
bleep me
about
out.
this.
We're talking over each other. It's terrible.
It's
I love you, Kushner.
okay.
Let's
I
go.
love you too.
Let's go to the videotape of Michael Franzese.
Ooh, that was good.
I have one question to ask you before we move into the Soprano land, and it's about the omertà. And I know yours was on Halloween night, and I know I'm just curious about why. Also because you're a religious man, but this is a Catholic thing. Why do they burn the face of the saint? I know it's always a different saint. Like the Drangheta is Saint Michael, and I mean, in America, it was maybe St. Francis and the Virgin Mary. Why the burning of the saint's face?
It was actually with me, it was a Catholic altar card that they burned. And it's merely symbolic to show you the seriousness of what you're getting involved in. And I don't know that they had any other way to show that other than drawing blood and burning a saint.
They
And
drew
that's
blood as well? I didn't know
that was the explanation. I mean, because I got to tell you, it is a very solemn ceremony, and it's made to be very imposing. They wanted you to know the seriousness of what you were getting involved in. And I mean, it's a night I'll never forget. It's obviously emblazoned in my brain, but it's very serious in that regard. And you realize at that point that, you're committing your life to something, and you just better toe the line.
Yeah.
I got it, And when that happens, they don't tell you you don't know anything. I'm a recruit for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years. And just one day, I meet me at tonight and wear a suit. But I heard that 1,000 times, meet me tonight and wear a suit. And then all of a sudden, okay, tonight's it.
Tonight's the night.
And, where I got made, it was Anthony Colombo had a catering hall in Brooklyn. And we did it there that night. Obviously, got to look for a secure place. So that was the place that night. And there were 6 of us, and went in and we took it individually. And here's the stat that you'll realize when I say I'm fortunate. That was in 1975. The other 5 that took the oath with me, they're all dead, and every one of them were murdered.
Jesus.
Because we had 2 wars in our family since. A lot of guys were killed, and these 5 were among them.
So you're the only man walking.
Yeah. Out of that group, yes.
Do you have security now? Do you have to at all?
When I go certain places that I feel I need it, yeah, I do. Only because I don't ever thumb my nose in anybody's face, and I don't sell anybody short. I know guys are capable of. But, I really don't think that I have that to worry about at this point. What I do believe, it's like anything else, ladies, when you reach when you're popular or whatever the word is, when you're out there and you're in a genre like I'm in, somebody want to make a name for themselves, somebody wants to be a hero. I mean, we see it happening, at various times in life. So those are the things that I think that I have to concern myself more than with my former associates. And so, we're mindful of that, and we certainly prepare for that when I need to.
So what are the rankings? So when you get made, you go in as is it a soldier?
Yes.
Soldier.
And so you made it up to captain.
Yeah, I mean, everybody hears about the ranks and there's lieutenant and sergeant. No. I mean, from the top down, it's the boss, the underboss.
Which your father was, right?
Yeah.
Your father was an underboss.
My dad was. So boss, underboss, consigliere, capo regime or captain, and soldier. That's it. And those are the official categories of being a made man.
What is Tony Soprano now that Junior's in jail? What did they cross his name out in this episode?
I don't
Well,
know.
he's the acting boss now, right? I think he took over for Junior. So that's an official position.
Okay. They write street boss on there. That was the...
Well, that's actually not true, because actually a capo regime is a street boss. Because
okay.
The boss assigns him with a number of soldiers, and he's their immediate supervisor. So Tony would have been an acting boss, not the street boss. And when Junior got out, then he's the official boss again.
Got it. Okay. Now, just so that our people that are watching know this, Forbes listed Michael as the highest paid mafia boss when he was 35 years old. And I know we didn't really talk about the propane gas scam, the whole wholesale gas scam, which is one of my, I'm sorry, it's one of my favorite things, only because you weren't hurting anybody. You were just screwing the government. And there's something in that for me, because I think the government's very corrupt these days. So I have my affinity for all of that is, but anyhow, I won't talk about anything like that. Chris doesn't like when I talk about politics, and I won't.
This is not that type of show.
I know. I'm not going to, but I like the fact that I do like the fact that that's what you did. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I gotta tell you this, and I probably get in trouble for this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I defrauded the government out of taxing every gallon of gasoline, and we drove prices down at the pump. So we were really heroes for the ordinary people filling their car with gas. But, I'll be in a church and questions come up here and then, and I once stated in church, it was a big church, several thousand people there. And I said, look, I'm going to be honest with you. As I stand here on this stage and I speak to you all and you heard my testimony, I do not have a moral issue with stealing money from the government. Right now,
I'm with you. We deserve it.
I said, but I won't do it because I'm not going to break the law now. Yeah. But you know what? When I say this, they clap. People clap because
right.
The government's not high on everybody's, I like them list, so to speak.
Yeah.
So,
but what is it? Was it one? It was how much was you were making $8 million a week in tax?
Yeah, I want to clarify that now.
And then kicking up the $2 million to the family.
At the height of our operation, we were selling about 500 million gallons of gas a month. We were taking down 20 to 40 cents a gallon, depending upon the deals we made. So we were bringing in 5, 8, sometimes 10 million a week. That was coming into our operation. Didn't all go in my pocket. And I was paying up $2 million a week to the family, which they were entitled to because that's the deal I made. But, I'm not complaining. I was putting a lot of money in my pocket at that time, but that's what we were grossing at that point in time. It was a lot of money. It was a lot of money.
How long did that span of time last for that you were making that amount of money?
We built it up over a period of time for a total of 8 years. But the big money started coming in year 2 and 3.
What relates to this episode too is this whole big pussy issue. Even though he's getting pinched for drugs, which is not what your work was about.
Exactly.
But I know that you were called in at one point because the family didn't feel as though you were kicking up enough money because you were making so much money. All eyes were on you, and you went to that meeting not knowing if you were going to come back out.
It was, just to build up to that, there was a story in one of the local newspapers, I forget which one it was, that said that I was becoming powerful enough to break away from the Colombos and start my own family. It was a fictional story. There was no truth to it whatsoever. It was ridiculous. And then it said that I was bringing down $2 billion. It was a crazy story.
They're putting a price tag on your head, those stories.
Yeah, but what happens in that life, I had a big crew. I had the Russians were involved with me, and I was, doing fairly well. So it gets into people's heads.
Yeah.
And even my boss at the time, he was starting to wonder, like, what's going on with this guy? So they brought me in, and it was scary. I don't mind saying it. It was very scary because I knew the setup. The setup was bad. And, I had to walk from we were meeting at a person's house because my boss at the time was on parole. This had to be a covert meeting because he didn't want to get violated. So it was midnight or close to midnight. It was a summer day. It was in August. And we parked the car in Brooklyn, at the curb, and I had to walk down to a basement apartment in that house. And when I got out of the car, the guy that drove me, who was a good friend, another captain, he got behind me, and then there was somebody sitting in the back seat that I really wasn't too familiar with.
Oh,
I'm assuming they both were in lockstep behind me. So I'm saying, you know what, this is bad.
this is
I
bad
said,
news.
this is it. I'm
Mhm.
not walking this room. I'm not going to walk out again. And when I relay this story, it happens every time. I can hear the crickets chirping, and I can smell
Oh,
the flowers. It
Mm.
was that real to me. And people have said, why didn't you cut and run? You could have ran. And it wasn't heroic. It was just robotic. I was so much a
Yeah.
product of that life that I just said, okay, if this is it, this is it. And believe me, I don't know how I didn't faint when that door opened up, because I was worried. I was very, very worried. But
I can't
here I am.
imagine.
It worked out that night, and we talked about it, and I think it was more to scare me than anything else, into making sure they knew that I knew who was boss. Like I didn't
right.
know, right?
Right. Oh, that's scary. And then of course, it's scary and it's real life and I feel for you, but at the same time you're explaining it in such a way where I'm watching your TV show already, eating popcorn on my
Yeah.
couch because of
Yeah.
the way you just explained it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're an awesome storyteller, Michael.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, it was a tough night, but it prepared me for later on. You don't realize sometimes you do, and the experiences you have in life prepare you for later on. Because when I walked away, everybody said I was going to get killed. FBI told me, you're a dead man anyway. That's all I kept hearing for a long time, and I knew that I'd have some trouble, but I was prepared for it. And I said,
So what happened in that room? What did they say
well,
anything to you?
it was a big, I hear you're making all this money, and
Mm.
blah blah blah, and back and forth, and they were questioning me, and I had Russian partners that were very loyal to me, and they didn't know that I knew that they sent some people to speak to these Russians, and they told me about it.
Oh.
They were very loyal to me, so I knew what was going on. But at one point, I got mad, because I started to get mad, because I said, look, I said, I'm showing you guys more money than you ever seen in your life. Number one, I'm taking all the risk. I brought
Yeah.
this deal in. Number two, number three, they write a story in the newspaper. We always say the newspapers lie, but now that they're saying it about me, it's the truth. I said, it's a
Right.
nonsense story.
There's
And,
they're trying to shake you down. Yeah.
then when I started to get a little upset, then I caught myself. I said, wait a minute, I'm talking to the boss here. You don't get upset with the boss ever, no
Mm-mm.
matter what the situation is. You don't do that.
God.
So
Yeah.
I caught myself, and then when it was over, okay, great, and then a hug it, and let's have a glass of wine, and everybody's fine. And I'll be honest with you, I just wanted to get out of there. I was really
I'm
mad that
sure.
night. I want to tell you the continuation of this story that people don't know. The guy that drove me there was another cop who was a very close friend of mine. When I got in the car, I got very upset with him, because I said, you knew that, because he turned to me, because he was driving me back to my car. I had driven in from Long Island. And I said to him, um, I was about to get upset with him. And he said, Mike, before you start, I want to tell you something. I said, what? He said, you did real good in there tonight, because this could have been a real problem for you. So when he said
Mm.
that to me, I got really upset with him. I said, I know you all my life. You're my dear friend. You know that I got this trouble. You don't prepare me. You don't warn me. You don't say anything to me on the ride over here. I said, what kind of a friend are you? And he looked at me, and I'll never forget. And he said, well, let me ask you this. If it was the other way around, would you have told me?
Yeah.
And, I thought about it a minute, and I said, no.
No.
He said, you
No.
know this life better than anybody. You grew up in it. And boy, that hit me like a ton of bricks. That
God.
hit me a ton of bricks. I said, wow,
God, you don't
look
have
at this.
anybody.
No.
You don't have
And
anybody
no.
watching out for you. That's a crazy thought. Like
Well,
this
that's
guy.
what that final episode of The Sopranos.
Yeah.
That's it. He's just going to be forever looking over his shoulder, and
Yeah.
that's why we were so curious about you and your story. And if you feel like that in your life, even shortly after coming out and reforming, what we like to say, busted and readjusting your life.
Mhm.
How long it took for you to not have to look over your back anymore?
Well, I don't want to give you the impression that I lived in fear, because I didn't. Maybe because I was so conditioned being in that life. So it wasn't a fearful thing. I always had confidence that I'd be able to, deal with the situation. But um, for a couple of years, I was very mindful of where I went, who I was around, very, very mindful of it. And I was very disciplined as a result. I didn't want to take any chances. So that lasted a couple of years. But then I knew, when my father and I patched it up because we didn't speak for about 10 years.
Oh, you didn't?
No, we didn't, and I understood why, but then he sent for me when he got out on parole again, and I was on parole. He sent for me. He said, "I want to see you." And I said, "Okay." He said, "Meet me at such and such a place." And I said, "No, Dad, I'm not meeting you anywhere. I'll meet you at the house. It's the only
Yeah.
place I'm going to meet you."
Were you
Because
afraid?
in a little way, I didn't trust my father
Oh,
100%,
Well,
and
didn't that some with John Jr. and your dad? Wasn't that a
yeah, I mean, well, I'll
thing?
say that my brother ended up cooperating and testifying against my dad, but my brother wasn't a made guy. He was a street kid and drug addict. He had a lot of trouble. But so I said to my dad, "I'll meet you at the house, at your house." He's, "Well, we're both on parole." I said, "Dad, I know how to evade the cops. Don't worry about it." I said, "I'll meet you early in the morning." And he said, "Okay." So I'll be there at 5:30 a.m. So he was living in Long Island at the time. I'll never forget. I knock on the door, 5:30 in the morning. I walk in, and he looks at me. First words out of his mouth after we haven't spoken for 10 years, he looks at me and he says, "If you'd have listened to me, you'd have been the boss of the Colombo family." And I said, I was like stunned. I said, "Dad, have you been in like the Twilight Zone or something? That's not where I'm headed, Dad." And he said, "Okay, let's talk about it." And that's how we broke the ice. And then our relationship repaired because we talked about it. And I said, "Dad, I was never going to hurt anybody. That's not what I was about." I said, "But I had to do what I
Yeah.
had to do." Yeah, I spoke to the police about my life, about what I
Mhm.
did. I wasn't implicating people in trouble. I said, "That's not what I was about. And you know that." He said, "Well, I knew that, but I didn't know what was going on. And you might have put me in a situation." I said, "Dad, I would never endanger you in that way. Believe me, I know you proposed me, you sponsored me. I'm not going to put you in any kind of trouble in that way." I said, "And you've got enough juice in the family, to hold your own as long as I
Mhm.
didn't go the distance." And I wasn't going to do that. Now, my brother, it's a different story. He didn't have the standing to hurt my dad. He didn't have the knowledge, I mean, to hurt my dad among the other people. Like, it was
Mhm.
kind of a black eye for my father that his son became, a real informant,
Right.
testified against people, put people in trouble. But they also knew my
Mm.
brother had a tremendous drug problem. They also know he was a street kid. He wasn't a made guy. My dad didn't confide in him about things
Mhm.
that, he wouldn't confide in unless, like he would confide in with me. So it didn't cause him that level of a problem like I could have caused him.
So
Yeah.
when you and your dad were estranged, that was while you were in prison, and then did you make this change in your life and make this decision, I'm not coming back to this life while you were in jail? Was it in those first nights in solitary confinement, you knew when you were coming out that you were leaving the life? Is that when your dad stopped talking to you?
Well, yeah, pretty much. It was that cemented my decision. When I got out of prison in '95, I said, "That's it." And it already became public that I had walked away and, all of that stuff. So I already had the trouble. And that's the reason they kept me in lockdown. They said I was in administrative detention because it was all over the, place that I was going to get killed. And the Bureau of Prisons didn't want to take responsibility for that. So they locked me down for my own protection. And, they put me through the FBI was upset with me. So that was kind of punishment. Um, and I got it. I understood that that's what I was going to face. But yeah,
Because you wouldn't implicate anybody. You would not
'Cause you
hand
weren't a
anyone over.
snitch. Yeah.
You had enough heat on yourself that you could talk enough about your own crimes, but you just never ratted anybody out.
and I didn't want to go into the witness protection program. I said, "Look, if I'm walking away from the life, I'm doing it for the right reasons. I'm not doing it because I'm mad at anybody. I'm not taking a revenge on anybody." A lot
Mhm.
of these informants, I don't want to, they testify, they do all of that, and they're mad at somebody, or they're blaming somebody, or the life turned on
It's
them. You
revenge,
hear all
yeah.
the same stuff. But I wasn't mad at anybody. It wasn't
Mhm.
like, even though I had this incident with the boss, that wasn't going to cause me to, to turn on people. Ladies, you got to understand, you have to know with that life what you face when you get in. There is a lot of treachery. There's no question. I saw people die for the wrong reasons. I saw people in trouble for the wrong reasons. It's part of the life. And you kind of have to accept it and try to navigate through those waters. And, unfortunately, as far as I'm concerned, I had the best teacher in the world, and my dad. My dad
Yeah.
taught me the ropes in this life, and he was my counselor. He was my guidance. When my dad, I don't know if you know this, but at one point in time, my dad, they broke him from being a capo. They put him back down as a soldier. And I was a capo at that time, and I really took offense to that.
Oh, you can do that? They can put
Yeah,
you
oh
back
yeah,
down in the rankings? Wow.
boss has total control over that. And when they did that, I was very upset. And
Yeah.
they did that under the guise that they were protecting my father because he kept getting violated. And they said, so to protect him, they're going to take responsibility of being a capo regime away from him so he wouldn't have to deal with his men and so on and so forth. But for me, I believe it was because we were getting very well known and very powerful in our own regard, and they were just putting my father in his place. So I said, Dad, we can't allow this to happen. I was ready to do something, retaliate. And he said to me, Michael, bide your time. This life is like a wheel. Things turn. He said, this is not our time. To consider it a tactical retreat and not a defeat. And we're not losing the war. So he always talked sense
Smart
into me,
man.
even
Yeah.
when I got a little crazy, because he understood the life better than anybody that I knew. And so he was my balance. And so I appreciate that. He taught me well in that life. And, but again, I wasn't mad at anybody. It wasn't like I wanted revenge on anybody. I just wanted out of the life. So look, I will tell you this, it could get me in trouble, but I kind of manipulated.
Don't get in trouble. Don't get in
No.
trouble over here.
I kind of manipulated the government and letting them think I might go along, but then when push came to shove, I wouldn't go
You
along.
didn't. Yeah.
Dre, you may know. Do you know the name John Riggy?
No, why do I know that name?
Oh,
Is that
he was a boss in New Jersey. And he was a very dear friend of mine. And when I was on parole, I get picked up by the marshals and I get brought into New Jersey to testify in a trial against John Riggy. And I said, what is this all about? John Riggy and I had a deal where we were partners and we were getting a tax on every window that was coming into every office building and apartment building in Manhattan. You had to pay us a tariff on it, right? He and I were partners. We had
This is one of the businesses of yours I don't know about.
No.
It was kind of undercover. It wasn't really well known, but he was indicted in a racketeering case, and that was one of the major charges. Well, our third partner was a guy that was on trial with me in the Giuliani case. He ended up getting convicted. It gave him 30 years, and he became an informant. So he implicated John and me in that case. Now, I had spoken to the government about that because as part of my plea agreement, I had to tell them what I did. So I told them I had this window deal, but I never implicated Riggy. So they brought me in and they said, you're going to have to testify in this case. Hyman, the third guy, told us all about it, and we're going to put you on the stand. And if you lie, we're going to indict you for perjury. Now, I knew they couldn't indict me for perjury. But anyway, I said, put me on the stand, but I'm going to hurt your case. This was my deal. I did it all. Riggy had nothing to do with it. So I'm going to contradict your major informant. Well, they sent me back. They didn't put me on the stand. And word got out. Riggy put the word out that, hey, they brought Michael in and he refused to testify. So that helped me a lot because guys were saying, they got this guy on a witness stand, but he never came in against anybody.
Yeah.
So
You were like the
it was
phantom.
the government's work. They did that. I didn't do it.
You're a real stand-up guy.
Well, look.
I mean, a real stand-up guy.
It wasn't a question of standing. It's a question. It was difficult for me to hurt my friends. I just couldn't do it. I didn't have a conscience to do that.
I would never hurt you.
I didn't want my father to be degraded to that point or embarrassed because I cared about him so much. He was such a major part of everything that I am today, good and bad, I guess, but mostly good, I would hope.
Yeah, I mean, when I say you're a stand-up guy, I don't even mean just in terms of that one thing. It's everything. It's the whole thing, the whole evolution of your life into, up to now, up to where you are now. It's some pretty, you're a stand-up guy. there aren't too many of them out there. I mean, you have the same wife, you have a bunch of beautiful kids, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
You turned
Well,
your life
listen,
around.
far
you
from
turned your
perfect,
life
but
around.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you this, a major part of that is having, and I mean this, is having good people around you that keep you accountable. And my wife doesn't take
Absolutely.
any nonsense from me. She said, look, I went through 8 years of stuff and we went through a lot of stuff throughout all of this. You better toe the line. And she means it. And, my kids hold me accountable. Honestly, they don't want to see me getting in trouble. Um, and so, that's important to me. And of course, I'm a person of faith. So you can't be, look, I make a lot of mistakes. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And
We're all
I'm far from
human.
perfect. And
Yeah.
just get them on the line here and they'll tell you that. But I'll keep them away from that. But, I try. I
Well, I
try.
think we're all here to learn. Definitely all here to learn. And I've heard you say that you wouldn't change your life because it made you who you are today. And I feel that way about my
I do
life. And
too.
she's been through a lot of hardships as well. And if we didn't walk through those fires, we wouldn't be the people that we are today. And we wouldn't have the stuff that we have to offer. And I know that you help a lot of people now. I heard you talking about what your purpose was. And of course, I even found that more interesting than, the stories like, where's Jimmy? Do you know where Jimmy Hoffa's buried? And was the mob connected to JFK's murder? And,
Yeah.
all these questions that I know you're used to having to dodge or answer, and et cetera. But I guess with life's purpose, it also relates back to The Sopranos in a huge way because you've never seen a mob genre movie or TV show well, there was never another TV show, but a movie talking about where the one of the characters want to know what their life's purpose is. Where's my arc? Where Christopher's like, where's my arc? I don't have an arc. And then he tries to find Adriana an arc with the music industry, and
No, it doesn't
everybody's
work. Yeah.
looking for their
Their
place.
purpose.
And Tony Soprano too. I'm a terrible husband. I'm a terrible father. I'm a terrible friend. He was saying
Yeah.
this in the last season. And now we get into this season and time has passed and the Sinatra song's playing and you're into this montage. But yeah, I guess I would want to ask you, I would be interested to know what you feel like your life's purpose was in having lived the life that you lived and what the meaning behind that is. Because she and I are super spiritual. I don't know about religious, but I guess we are religious in our spirituality.
I love that you talk about. Oh,
Uh-oh.
Michael, can we hear you?
I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
There's
Lots of
weird
noises
noises.
happening in our ears.
She talks about us like we're one. We.
My friend. Sisterhood is important, and you
Yes.
know what that's like because of your brotherhood. And
That's
I'm
right.
sure, and I've heard you say that you've missed. That's the one thing that you did miss from those days was the brotherhood you had with
Yeah.
with your boys. But again, you guys couldn't always have each other's backs because of the line of work you were in. So you never really knew what was going on. Like your friend who drove you to your boss's house. She and I are because we're not real gangsters. We just think we're gangsters.
We think
Well, you
we
want to know
pretend.
you want to know what happened? I mean, this was a horrible thing. That fella Jimmy, who was a good friend, like I said, and lifelong friend, about 2 years later, they walked him into a room and he never walked out again.
Mm.
Oh, I'm sure.
The irony in that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. My parents have told stories like that my whole life with all their friends. My dad I would say, Dad, how come you don't have friends? He goes, they're all in jail. Everybody's in jail now.
Or dead. Yeah.
I mean, you can do this with us or not, but we don't really have to go through everything. I think we talked about
A lot. Yeah.
about how the episode. I mean, we can ask you a few questions
Yeah.
about the episode.
That's fine.
Which one's like what, and not even the episode, but so because I'm here and it's my character Adriana. Did you ever see that before, where there was a female informant? I know that in the Trigger Mike world, that was a thing. I don't know if you know that far back in the Mafia history, but he did have his wife murdered, and then he had his daughter. He tried to murder his daughter, but then she moved to Italy and she testified against him. A lot of drugs at play. These were the people that ran with my grandfather because they were wholesaling heroin. So that's a dirtier world, obviously. I mean, but have you ever seen anything like that in your time where there were any women behind the scenes having an influence or getting in trouble? I mean, Adriana never snitched. That was the thing. People always, I walk down the street, you're a rat, you're a rat. I'm like, she never said anything they never even checked to see what she gave up, and they just sacrificed her. But artistically, it was a great choice. But
Right.
would that normally happen that quickly without really giving it much thought?
You know, the answer to that is, well, it's twofold. It would depend who was the boss or who was making the rules at that moment. Different people react in different ways to that. Some people take a wait and see attitude or investigate it a little bit further, and some people say, "I'm not taking a chance, get it over with." But rarely, if ever, did I see a woman involved to the point where she would be in trouble, that she would know something that can get somebody in trouble. Um, it was frowned upon. You know, we kind of, I have to say that we kind of respected our women in that regard. Now, some guys, acted silly with their gramadas or their girlfriends, and they maybe told
Yeah.
them a little bit more than they would tell their wives if
Yeah.
they had, and but that was frowned upon. It really was. And I never personally experienced that. Now I know in our family there was a woman who got killed, and I didn't know her personally, allegedly because she knew too much and was about to snitch. Forget her name even, but I didn't experience that. I really didn't, and
I
I
mean, there.
never, I never said anything to any women.
Wow.
I mean, I would imagine that a lot of women would get sick of the life and try to get out in some ways, or if they were wronged with gumares or whatever. But then again, they know this is part of the life, so I don't really know that it really matters. But when I've been studying the whole Calabrian mob in Italy right now, which is a whole other thing. And the women there, it's a whole different thing, the way the women are treated and stuff. It's not like, it is here in America, that's for sure.
Well, I'll tell you. I mean, and I don't mean this. I don't want to get in trouble with feminists out there, but it's
Mhm.
Oh,
not.
don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's not.
You could say anything with us.
Yeah.
Right. It's not. It's not a life for a woman at all. I mean, it's beneath women, and I believe that because there's too much stuff that goes on that ladies should not be involved in any
Of
way.
course.
And
Yeah.
again, it's not a knock on, not saying women aren't capable or any of that. It's just they shouldn't be certain things they shouldn't be involved in, and that's one
Oh,
of
I agree. I agree. I mean, well, especially because of their placement in that world.
yeah.
Could you imagine you and I being in? I mean,
I mean,
if
just
you,
seeing somebody killed.
I mean, if a woman cheated on her husband,
Jesus.
she's killed.
Yeah.
And but that's in Italy. It's not. I don't know about here, but the men are cheating on the women all the time, so it's a
Constantly.
whole different thing.
I mean, were there
But
any mob guys that were not cheating? Does everybody have a guma in the mafia? Gee,
I
he's
mean,
like,
I mean, there's that scene in the Sopranos where he's putting his clothes in the hamper. I mean, in the washing
Yeah.
machine. That's a famous. That's the perp walk. That was my grandfather. That was Joe Babes. That my grandmother would. You smell like a whore right now.
It was part of the life, unfortunately, and
yeah.
what could I say? I mean, we're not proud of it now for sure, but it was part of the life. I mean, we lived it every day,
So that's true.
honestly.
What about
And,
the therapy?
look, a major part of that life, as you know. I mean, I was in a club 6 nights a week. Six
Yeah.
nights a week, we were out, in a club, and that's how I lived for years and years. And it's not a good lifestyle, I mean, things happen in a club, and the atmosphere is though good, and there's people around all the time. So it's just part of the life.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what about the therapy? We see a constant theme in The Sopranos about Tony trying to hide the fact that he's going to see a therapist. Was that a thing with the mafia? Is
Oh,
that
man.
true?
He's gonna say that. He's gonna
Tell
he's
me,
gonna
tell
hit the
me.
button.
Is that
False.
is it what kind
Here's the
of
thing, and
accurate or
probably
not
heard you
accurate?
say this because I
I
always
have.
get asked about Sopranos all the time. One of the major questions I get asked when I do a Q&A. If a mob boss was ever visiting a psychiatrist, he'd be in the trunk of his car by the end of the week, along with the psychiatrist. That
Oh
would
my
never
God.
happen.
Okay.
I
No,
know.
no, because what are you telling a
Not
psychiatrist?
me.
What are you
Yeah.
talking about? And no,
Yeah.
that would be an immediate red flag, and he'd be taken down quickly. Anybody, but especially
Also, it would be a sign of weakness too, right?
absolutely, especially the boss. I mean, any
Yeah.
soldier or anybody would be death knell, no doubt.
Yeah, because they show like everybody's going, and like Paulie says he's going at one point too.
Well, I think
or
what
he's
everyone,
been. It's
I
great.
think they're all just trying to say, look, man, we all have these feelings. We all have these dark nights where we don't, how do you handle your stress? I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, I don't know.
Well,
How did
I still have it in my head because of that psychiatrist therapy. What are you talking about? I couldn't even think of
really?
something. Yeah, and my wife even gets mad at me. She said, "What are you talking about? Therapists are good." And I said, "That's weakness. You don't need therapy." And my kids get
Oh
mad
my
at me
God.
when they
Yeah.
say it. Yeah,
Do
because it's
you,
that mentality that I've had that you
it's a
never.
male thing though too. It's really it's even
well,
my ex used to say that too, and he's a Southern boy, so I definitely think it's more of a male. It's an old timey male thing. But then again, my dad was in therapy because my mother
yeah.
made him go. That was and he didn't want to go.
It's like it's a sign of weakness. I always looked at it that way, and I'm wrong. I mean, let's face it, people need
Hmm.
therapy. I know depression is it's a medical issue, and sometimes
Hmm.
you need therapy to help you get out of it. But I never saw it that way because of my mind was so set in my ways. When the hardest decision I ever had to make in my life was walking away from it. I mean, I'd go to sleep walking away, wake up back in, and it was emotionally, it was very trying on me because I felt I was betraying my oath, betraying my dad, and I was such a product of that life that it just took a long time for me to get over it, really. And it's even sometimes, it comes back into my head a little bit.
I'm
When we had
sure.
a war in our family and I was out on parole, my father called me and he says, "Stop the baloney. We need you back here." And I was torn to a degree I can't even tell you. And I said, "Look, it's one way or the other." And I would have had to break parole to go back when we had this war back in the 90s, but I didn't, and it
So
was very hard.
strong. That's
You
so
would have been
strong. Yeah.
Silvio. You would have been once I thought I was out, they put me back in.
Again, remember? Great
Oh my
line, great line.
God.
The Godfather. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So we got the psychiatrist thing straight.
Are you
Yeah.
I think I read, are you a life coach? You're coaching, or what's that
Yeah,
looking like
Because
now?
it's kind of it's a
Yeah.
similar thing. And I think having your faith, that's the way you can de-stress without having to talk to a therapist and etc. And helping other people
Yeah.
is therapy.
But what are you doing in that
It's
realm
something
right
that,
now?
I mean, I've been doing for years
Mhm.
anyway, as part of what I do, because people, email and message me all the time asking advice. So I think a lot of it had to do with this whole quarantine that we're under. I've had somebody that's been pushing me for quite a while to be really a life, business, and leadership coach. So
Mhm.
now we went into it. I've developed a website and a program and so on and so forth. And it's really great because I got people coming into a community so that not only do they have access to me, but they have access to one another. And so
That's
many
great.
issues in their
Mhm.
lives have been going back and forth. And I've been observing how they've been talking to one another. And
Oh,
then they have
great.
access to me, on a certain basis. And we're doing a lot of Zoom calls with all of them. And it's been really helpful. People are getting a lot out of it. And I enjoy it. I enjoy, encouraging people and giving them my expertise in whatever way, it's valuable to them. So, and it's really building. I mean, we got a lot of members already in a short period of time. So I'm
Amazing.
bringing a
Yeah.
team together now of other people that I feel are qualified to help in areas. I've always had a motto that I've kept that's worked for me, and that is do what you do best and delegate the rest. So
Love
I
it.
do what my expertise is.
That's, by the way,
Huh?
I need you to coach me and
We
tell me that, because
we need you for the
we
art of
oh my
negotiation.
gosh.
Well,
We are
that's
doing,
that's
yeah.
one of the major things I get asked about.
We're
Oh,
joining.
Oh yes,
well,
that's
that's
We're
good.
joining.
forget the
I would
episode.
love
Let's
to
talk
have
about
you.
this.
Really.
Let's do it
I got to
now.
Wait, what?
I don't know if you know this, but I was thinking and thinking and thinking. I don't know that I've ever been interviewed, certainly to this extent, by women before.
Great.
I said that at the top. I was like, I know you've never been interviewed by a couple of kiakiarones.
Well, and it's been great. I mean, you both have
Oh,
been great. So this is the first time, and it's one of my most enjoyable times.
oh,
Oh,
good. We love
good.
that.
You could bring your wife and kids on this interview. You
Yeah.
can bring everybody, and we love it.
I would love to do that. My wife would be a great interview for you
Oh,
because you're
she's
not
coming
asking the
on.
same stuff. I got to tell you something. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe you can help me out here. But one of the questions I get asked, I get three questions all the time. no matter where I am. Where's Jimmy Hoffa buried? How much money did you have, and where is your money buried? And did you ever kill anybody? And
Wow.
I think what I say is, why are people so fascinated with the killing and the murder? And I asked people, I said, when you know people fought in the war, is the first question, do you ask them, how many
No,
people in the war did you kill? How
never.
many of the enemy did you kill? But when it comes to our life, there's a fascination with that. And
Hmm.
honestly, I don't want to talk about that. I mean, that's not something that, I like to talk about at all. I mean, it's one of the horrors of that life. But people are so fascinated. And, in my view, to your credit, you didn't ask those kind of questions.
Well, if you were still in, first of all, if you were still in the mob, nobody would ever
No.
dare ask you those questions, which was why I said to you early on, we're like the Cusamanos, the mayonnaisers that say to Tony Soprano, so have you ever met John Gotti? So
Yeah.
what was that like? And then Tony Soprano realizes that he's just like a dancing bear for them to get their rocks off by listening to these cool mafia stories.
Yeah.
And he tells this totally boring, banal story about an
Ice cream truck.
And I don't know if you remember that from
Yeah.
season 1 of The Sopranos,
You,
just
yeah.
to like sort of mess with them.
Yeah.
And so I knew coming
He's like, and then I
in.
rang the bell, and it was so anticlimactic. The
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
with you, like we've done some of our research, and plus we knew about you anyhow,
Yeah.
and your story is way more significant than what your past was. You know what I mean? That's the way we see it. As much as we want to ask you the questions about your past, maybe not those questions, but the more female questions, because this is what chicks do. You have a lot of daughters. They want to get under everything. I mean,
Yeah,
my
they wanna
dad once
dig.
said, "I'm afraid of nobody in this world except for one person, my daughter."
Yeah.
Because there was no, I was always like, "No, tell me the truth, Daddy. Tell me the truth, Daddy."
It's hard. Yeah.
And
It's hard.
She's
You
a
can't
daddy's
lie
girl
to.
too.
Yeah.
It's true. The girls are like that. I mean, they come right out. My daughter, my youngest one, gosh, I'll never forget. I was upset with my son, my Michael Jr. This guy gave me a lot of trouble. He's great now, but we had some tough years with him. And we were
Mhm.
going at it one night, and I was really mad at him. And my younger daughter came down. She was 19. She said, "Dad, you're not in the mafia anymore. Stop talking like that." I said, "Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I call my dad out like that all the time
Yeah.
too, and I'm the only one in my family that can talk to him like that,
See?
and he's like, "Oh, my princess."
Mm-hmm.
There's a different
daddy's
dynamic.
babies.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
was stunned. I was like, oh, okay." My sons would never talk to me like that.
No,
But my
it's a different
daughters,
dynamic.
what's on their mind, they come out with it, and they put me in my place.
Yeah.
So,
And you listen.
Yep.
Yeah.
True.
Yes.
most of the time, sometimes I get a little, I say, all right, enough.
Of course.
What do you normally do now aside from running and aside from all the motivational speaking and traveling a lot, which now I know you haven't been able to travel, but I'm sure people that are listening today are going to want to know how you earn your money now. We're not going to ask you where the money's buried because that's a stupid question.
Yeah.
But how do you earn a living now? And but yeah, that's basically, we barely earn
and
a
what's your
living at this
passion?
point. So
Yeah.
Well, my passion is in speaking. I've been doing that for 24 years, and I do it in every arena. I mean, obviously, I'm in church quite a bit in the ministry platform. I speak to corporate America quite a bit. I do a lot with sports teams, with both professional and college athletes.
I saw that.
That's a major part of what I do. I do a lot of prison work, with a lot of young kids, and so I do a lot on the speaking, and I'm out every week. I've been very fortunate. They're very prolific in that regard. And then we have merchandise that we sell as a result of that. I'm still writing books. I've written 4. I'm on my 5th now. And now we'll be doing this television show. So primarily my income is from speaking. And now, we started this platform with the coaching, and that's building pretty quickly. And just
That's great.
yeah, there is a distinction. There is a free platform, to come in on the coaching end, and that's more of the community-based platform. But then the real one-on-one comes, at a different level with me. And I'm devoting a lot of time to that because a lot of time.
We need to join.
I think we want to join.
I think
I'm
we
not
should
even
get
kidding.
a discount.
I think we should.
You got it.
Okay,
No,
good.
you're welcome. You're welcome to join because you'd be
Oh,
surprised
I would love it.
how many people are
Mhm.
struggling in this life with different things. And so many of them are struggling with the same things. I find
Yeah.
consistent themes throughout. And well, that's what really
Absolutely.
motivated me to do it, because I enjoy, look, you get very encouraged when you receive messages and emails from people that you don't even know that, hey, as a result of me hearing you and watching you, my life has changed and I've done all of this. And you don't even know these people. You don't even know that they've been seeing you over the years, or they heard you speak at a certain place, or they've seen you on YouTube or whatever. And it's very encouraging. And I'll do that as long as God allows me to do it. I don't think I'll retire from that. And then we'll see what happens with the
I would
television
love
show.
that.
You ladies know the TV business better than anybody. And great and development, but who knows?
It's
And then it could go, but no,
it's
this
worse.
is
It's worse than the Mafia.
Yeah.
It's worse than the
It's
Mafia.
a tough business.
You know what I mean?
People have said,
Oh, it's the
how come you
worst.
don't have a movie and a television show? And they think, well, you just snap your fingers and you got a movie.
yeah, no.
Listen,
Yeah,
when I
no,
was
it's-
originally in the
it's
movie
tough.
business, I don't know if you know this, but I started out and I had a production
Oh, I know.
company, a distribution company. I made a whole bunch of films, but I made it with gas money that I was.
Oh, I know. Your tax money.
Yeah, so
I love it. What
if you can spend
which-
your own
what
money
did
to
you
make
put
a
money
movie, you can
into?
make as many movies as you want, but I'm not into that now.
you loving your motivational speaking, all of that stuff. That was really why we wanted to talk to you even more than the whole Mafia element. I mean, of course, we're the Sopranos, and we pivoted on our rewatch where, if your wife had watched it, The Made Women was more about, it's strictly
Scene by
about the
scene.
show, but we relate the show to our lives heavily.
Yeah.
Which is what you're doing in your life. You're relating your story of your past to help people move forward. And that's basically what we do on the show when we talk about narcissism or, different psychological disorders or
Domestic
different relationship
environments. Yeah.
issues, all of those sort of things. So that's kind of our thing. And then we've added this busted and readjustment segment where we'll be talking about it within the show, but we also want to dedicate separate episodes to people whose lives have been busted and readjusted, and how they made that change.
That's what my wife really liked about the podcast. She said this is different, and this is
cool.
Yeah, she really enjoyed it.
Oh, great. Oh, great. Well, we're definitely going to have her on. So
Yeah.
we will be in touch with Lisa as well.
Because I'm
to
sure
try
she
to
has a busted and readjusted story.
But she does, yeah. She
Yeah.
If she's allowed to tell it,
She is, so for so many years, people would come to me, after a speaking engagement, Michael, how did your wife stay with you? How did you? I got that question a million times. So I used to go to her because my wife was pretty private, right? And I said, would you do me a favor? Would you write a book or do something? I'm tired of these people asking me how you felt about me and how you got through it all. It took me 20 years to convince her to write the book. 20 years.
Oh, did she do it?
She wrote a book, and it's funny. I brought it to my publisher, and they immediately signed up, and they said, "Are you going to co-write it with her?" I said, "Do you think I want a divorce?" And I said, "Absolutely not. I don't want anything to do with it." So, but she wrote a
so
great
funny.
book. She really did, and she.
Oh, I want to read all of these books.
I know.
Yeah. Well, if you give me a draw, I'll send you. I don't know if you have any of my books, but I'll send you a bunch.
No,
of them.
I want all of your books.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
I want everything. If we would have had time,
I want your wife. I'm going to get the wife's book.
I want the wife's book. I want the husband's
What's
book.
your wife's
I want
name?
the kid's book. I'm just
Camille.
kidding.
Camille.
Yeah, I
Camille.
call it Tammy, Cammy, but Camille. But yeah, I'll send you a copy of all the books, and you got them. And I'm sure you'll enjoy hers. She's special.
Okay, so she'll definitely come and do this with us then.
Yeah, because remember this. I met her on a movie set. She was 20 years old.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Yeah, she was a dancer in my movie.
Dancer, yeah.
Oh.
And so I met her, fell in love with her. We were together for 18 months. She was 21 when I married her. In July of 1985, I went off to prison in December of 85. We were
Oh
married.
my
So
God.
it was that soon.
What
And
is
you got to understand, my wife is Mexican-American, brought up in Anaheim, California. She didn't know anything about the mob at all, nothing. She saw The Godfather once, that was it. I was the first Italian guy she ever met. And then within 4 months, less than that, because right after I met her and we started going out, I got indicted and Giuliani trial and
Oh
all of
my
this stuff.
God. She was thrown into it.
She never
Yeah.
Oh my
knew. And then we're
God.
married 4 months and I'm off to prison for 8 years. I mean, so it hit her like, like a ton of bricks. She didn't know what to expect, but her mother kept her strong. And, the people, I have to say this, the people in our church were just amazing with her. And, her mother, for some reason, I got to tell you, you'll appreciate this. The minute she saw me, well, not the minute, but, as soon as she knew I was serious about her daughter, she said, she put my name in her prayer book. She prayed for me every day, prayed for me. Because I said to her, her name was Irma. I said, Irma, I want to tell you this. I'm going to bring a lot of baggage into your daughter's life. I said, not intentionally. It's just a product of who I am. I said, but I love her, and I promise you I'll never hurt her. And from that moment on, she became my biggest
You got me
fan.
crying.
I know.
I'm
Big
crying.
I know.
Yeah. She became
Stop
my
it.
biggest fan. And throughout all of this stuff, she just held her daughter strong. And she said, hey, this is life and you're going to have to go through it. But, just keep the faith and you got a good guy there and he's going to get out of prison. And she really was my rock with her daughter because she was young, I mean, come on. And look, she's beautiful and she's out in LA and guys hitting on her all the time. Saying this guy's never going to come out of jail. She went through all of that.
Wow,
So,
what a strong woman. That's her
Yeah,
busted and
yeah.
readjusted. I mean, she went through, I don't know. Wow.
Totally.
Yeah,
And
just to be thrown into that
yeah,
and
and you know what?
stay sane.
The worst day of my life, other than that night I was put in prison, I call her up because all I cared about when I was in prison was phone calls and visits. That's it.
Of
'Cause
course, yeah.
when my dad went away, you'll appreciate this. He was in Leavenworth Penitentiary. He was allowed 1 3-minute phone call a month and one visit a month, 8 hours. That was it. So when you're under that situation, you lose contact with your family because your family life has to go on.
Yes.
So the relationship
Mhm.
with my mom went further apart. The relationship with his kids went further apart. And he wasn't the major, voice in our family anymore. And I feared that. I didn't want that to happen with my wife and kids. So I did everything possible to get on the phone with her as often as I could. I got moved to a prison in Terminal Island, California, where I was closer. She could visit me. That's all I cared about. I didn't want my family broken up. And then one day I call her up and I find out that they came and arrested her. Yes,
Ah,
the Organized Crime Bureau of LA, whatever they are, I don't even know what they are. And they were trying to put pressure on me and they arrested her. Now, the case was dismissed and expunged and all of that because it was nothing but nonsense. They work a little dirtier out here. That wouldn't have happened in New York with the police in New York or Jersey.
oh,
But
really?
no, I don't
Then
think so. They didn't bother our
interesting.
families to that extent. But back here, it was different. But when I
Uh-huh.
heard that, I mean, she was devastated. I mean, that never happened to her before. And so
She's
she
like,
went
what
through
did I sign up for?
a lot of stuff. Yeah, a lot of stuff. So she's special. She'd be a good guest. She's never done that before either. My wife, she's hasn't done any
Oh, I'll
interviews.
hold her hand.
Yes.
Yeah, she
We've
hasn't
never
done.
done this before either. We don't know what we're doing either.
Well,
We never know what we're doing.
you're doing great because you're just being you. And
We're,
that's,
we're,
Yeah.
that's
we're
those are the
Tweedledee
best
and
things to do.
Tweedledum, the two
Totally.
of us.
Anyway, thank
Oh
you
my
so
God.
much. Do you have anything else for him? I don't want to take up too much
I
of his
don't want.
time. We've been
I feel like
talking
we've
for
kept you so
so
long. I don't
long.
want to complete. Oh, I have to ask you one question.
Oh,
All right,
This is
we'll do one more. So I don't want to
one.
keep all your time either. But
no, really quick. What's your favorite pasta dish?
Ah,
But now that I know that your wife's not Italian, you know something? I take care of it. I take care of my Nicaraguan nanny, who was my nanny growing up. So Spanish is my first language. Your wife might have told you that if she
Really?
listens to the show. They call me Puerto Rican because I grew up in New York. So my friends call me Puerto Rican. So our nanny, I teach her all of the so the old lady is in her 80s. She lives with us. But I have a nanny who takes care of the kids, who really takes care of my nanny, who was my nanny growing up. I teach her all the Italian recipes, and then she makes them better. But she does something to them because she's Mexican, and I don't know what the hell she's doing to them, but she won't let me cook in the kitchen anymore. She won't let me in the kitchen. She's like, no, yo voy a hacer esto, tú no me jodes. And I'm like, okay. She makes all of our Italian dishes 10 times better than anything that I could have ever imagined. Does she make you Italian pasta? Does she make you Italian food?
Okay, I got to tell you this in real time. She just went to the market.
Aw.
She's cooking for me tonight, and she's going to make. She's tremendous cook. Okay, better than you can imagine, and she's making me my favorite pasta tonight. It's a
Is?
pomodoro because I like it very simple. Spaghetti
Okay.
pomodoro.
Mm.
I've eaten everything, and like you, we know the best Italian food. But she's a terrific cook, and I love. One good thing about this whole quarantine thing is that we've been eating home a lot more.
Yeah.
Oh, we
And
haven't
she's been cooking for
stopped.
me. Yeah, because we go out to eat a lot, but she's been cooking for me. She's a terrific cook, and I'm excited about dinner tonight. So, and she
Oh,
makes
Nice.
that's
All
every
right.
nice.
Spaghetti pomodoro tonight.
yeah,
That
nice,
sounds
nice, nice,
good.
simple.
You like a lot of garlic or no?
Huh?
Do you like a lot of garlic?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we like
Oh,
garlic,
okay.
and,
Yeah,
and
I can't
you
live
know,
without it.
I also like linguine and clams, and she
Mm.
Yum. I'm
and
starving.
all of that.
Mm.
I'm so hungry. We haven't eaten.
Christina,
Yeah,
you
all we care
Italian?
about is food.
I am.
Oh, okay.
My mother's full Italian, yeah.
So you know the
I'm
deal.
from New Jersey. I've only been here after college. I moved out to LA.
Well,
So
let me tell you something. As Italians, we know this, and I'll say it, but we eat better than anybody else. That's it.
Oh,
exactly.
yeah.
We know all the good spots,
Number one.
right?
Yes.
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 Well,
Anyway,
this was
well,
great. I
thank you
really
so
appreciate
much.
it. Enjoyed it very much.
We're going to be in contact with Lisa and try to get your wife in, and maybe you'll come back at the season
Sure,
finale or something. That would be
sure,
great.
definitely. Get my wife and my daughters too.
Oh,
Oh
that
my
would
God,
be
I would love that.
great.
The one who wants to
Yes.
be an actress needs to come on
Yeah.
Yes.
and talk to me.
Well, you'll appreciate this. There's a little nepotism in the business, but one thing I don't do, I don't ever promote my kids if I don't think they can cut it. And I tell them straight,
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, I'm the same
I can
way.
make a recommendation, but from that point on, it's up to you. That's
Yeah.
it. Because the industry is not going to treat you any better because of me. You got to earn it.
Yep.
But my daughter is terrific. She really
Well,
is.
she's Italian. I
she's
mean, come
Italian.
on. She's got to be
Hey.
terrific.
And I told the writer on this story, I said, look, we have an agreement. Everything's great. I love it. We have a good deal. I said, but part of this deal, you're going to write in a part for my daughter, and
Good
she's
for
going to
you.
earn it.
Yeah,
And
they
he gave
better
one
do
word.
it.
He said, done deal. I said, great. That's it.
Oh, I
Nice.
love that.
Nice.
That's great.
I love it. How old is she?
She's 20, she'll be
21.
22 in next
Mhm.
month. Yeah.
Oh, she's a baby. She's
She's
got
my
a whole
baby.
life in front of her.
She's
That's
my
great.
baby. She's the only one of my 7 children that I've been with since birth, with no jail.
Oh,
Wow.
So her
special.
and
Yeah.
I, we're joined at the
And
hip.
she's the youngest.
She's the youngest. She's the baby.
I can't believe that your baby is 21. I can't believe that you're older than us, but whatever. That's a
Well,
I
It's
mean,
that
I just don't understand.
She's
You
Italian
lived
again.
through
Italian. We
so
look
much-
okay for our age.
He lived through so much stress looking over his shoulder. You should, I don't even understand that. We need your diet. We need your workout routine. We need the restaurants.
And all your girls. We
And
need
all
the
your
girls.
girls.
my daughters, every one of them, and my wife are into fitness 24/7.
That's
As a matter
great.
of fact, I call them Franzese fitness freaks because everything healthy diet, exercise. I mean, they went today for an hour. My one daughter is a trainer. She's a personal trainer. If I show you a
Nice.
picture of her, you go, wow. My other daughter is, she works at Grit. She's a cyclist. She does all that. My
Oh,
younger
spinning.
daughter-
Yeah.
Yeah, she
I love it.
runs 20 miles a day. I don't know what she's doing. She's always running and taking care. Their diet drives me crazy because everything is healthy and organic and I want to eat.
Yeah.
But so they're
I'm kind of that way too.
She's that way.
I'm that
I don't
way, too.
exercise and I eat like a
I
gavone.
make you exercise. We exercise. Anyway, well,
for what I look like, certainly from the inside out, because they take care of me in that. regard.
that's good. That's good.
Nice.
Michael, we'll be in touch. Thank you so much for joining us. This
I'm
has
so
been,
happy you spent all this time with us today.
I'm so grateful.
Mwah.
Ladies, thank you. Have a great
Thank
week.
you.
Have a great
Have
night.
a great weekend.
Good luck. I hope this thing really goes the distance for you. Really. It will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Busted and readjusted. That's our motto.
All right. Keep it going. Bye-bye.
It was great having Michael Franzese.
Michael Franzese.
Yeah.
Or Franzese. Oh, God.
He's going to come back, and we're so excited. And we're going to have his wife on and his daughter.
Oh, my God. I want to. I really want to have
Those
his
are
wife
gangster
and daughters.
She's a gangster
They're little.
goddess.
The kids are gangster goddess babies, and the mommy's the
Yeah.
gangster goddess.
So tune in next week for our first
Soprano
ever.
rewatch.
So excited.
Yeah.
Season 2, episode 1. Getting into it.
And
Diving into it. smashing that
Also,
episode.
I just want to say one quick thing. If you guys are interested in Michael, he has many books out there, and so does his wife. I don't know all the names of them, but if you look him up, you'll see. I mean, we're gonna have all his information on our site.
Yes.
Check it out. I can't wait to get all the books because he's sending them to us.
I can't wait. Special thanks to our sponsors, HelloFresh and Tushy, the best.
Don't
If
get
you'd
me
like
started.
to support our show, show some love to our sponsors, and subscribe now to our show, Gangster Goddess. Hit that
Broadcast.
button, Gangster Goddess Broadcast.
The GGB.
Subscribe, people. Subscribe.
Smash that button.
Smash it. Rub it.
We're just gonna drag this outro out as long as we
Forever.
can.
We
Just
don't-
gonna milk it.
We don't
Can you
want to
TikTok it?
leave. What was that? You know what I like doing? The robot.
I was milking.
Do you like
a
that?
cow.
Oh, you're milking the cow.
Milking a cow. Like I was.
This one. Okay.
Oh, that's what Bama does. This
We're
TikTok
90.
thing. I don't know.
We're 90 and we're TikToking.
I know. I'm just gonna
Okay.
sit here and
Anyway,
be quiet.
thanks for hanging with us, Gangster Goddess.
Bye, guys.
Gangster Goddess Broadcast is a UV Ways and Monkey Mind Music Group production. Produced by Margot Carmichael, executive produced by Dre and Chris, and theme song by UV Ways.
Violence is an extreme form of aggression, such as assault or murder. Do you feel free? No. Do they control you? No. How do you feel? You have violence in your homes. You have violence in your neighborhoods. Violence inside the people. Revolt and uprise. Your father was murdered. They control us. They control you. Dreams of a place that has no race. No type, no class, no face.
The machine head.